questions. Hi, everyone. My name is Lois. I'm currently a junior majoring in human development and aging. I'm the president of GeroTech. And I'll popcorn it to Caleb, who is our other presenter today.
Hello, everyone. I'm Caleb. I'm also a junior studying international relations. Yes, and I'm here.
Thank you, Caleb.
Cool. As we sort of go through the presentation, in the observance of time, I ask that we sort of try to save questions all the way through to the end. However, if you do want to put them in the chat, I'll try and respond if I'm not the one who's presenting, or Caleb may be able to respond if he's not the one presenting. But we'll have a Q&A session at the very end again. If you have any questions relating to this presentation or even things beyond that scope. So let's go ahead and get started.
Okay, so as you can tell, today's presentation is going to be on cybersecurity. So just to go over what it is, essentially it's just protecting your personal information that's online from digital threats. And so a lot of information nowadays, including yours and mine, it's stored on personal devices and on the internet. So like your phone, your computer, things like that. So there's a lot of data that's collected by corporate or financial other agencies. So like when you log in to like a website, if you do any banking online, things like that, all your data is collected by companies. And so really, it's really important to make sure that your data and your information is safe and secured. So a quote from the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure and Security agencies is, similar to how you use locks to keep strangers and criminals out of your home, you also need to use safeguards to secure your computer. So on the bottom here, we just have some additional resources. And when we send out the link to this presentation, you can check these out later and see how you can, why it's important to protect your information online.
Yeah, and to just iterate what Caleb said, we'll send out the slide set that we have along with the recording of the presentation, or Bob will do that. So don't worry about having to try and save these slides. You all will sort of have access to them afterwards as well. But I'll sort of go and talk about how to keep your passwords safe. Obviously, passwords are probably some of the more important things in our life, apart from our family and friends, because they do hold and they keep people out of getting our data. So just a few do's and don'ts when it comes to keeping your password safe. Obviously, try to use a strong password. Make it easy to remember, but not cryptic enough so that others can't guess it per se. And then remember to use a safe password manager. So Bitwarden is sort of like an app or an application that keeps all of your passwords safe, and it keeps them all in one place. And then 1Password is another version, except it has a $36 fee per month. Going back to the strong password part, as many of you are USC alum or affiliated with the university, you know that my USC sort of changes the way that they do their passwords. So they ask you to refresh it basically every year. I personally think that that's a very good rule to abide by. Even if it's just switching it up just by a little bit, either putting in like different numbers or using different words. Those are both very good ways to use a strong password. Sometimes emails, or if you're creating like a social media account, they'll put like a minimum amount of characters that you could put in. So like minimum 8 characters. And then they'll also say use at least 1 capital letter, 1 special symbol, and 1 number. To use this across the board is always really good. But again, to sort of diversify it from account to account is also important as well. Some don'ts. So with technology comes ease of access and comfortability. But we can't simply just compromise by allowing our computers to sort of save our passwords. Say that somebody gets access to our computer and those passwords are saved on the browser, it's really easy for them to get access into those things. So while it can be a bit of a hassle to have to put in your password every single time, it really does help in the long term in the event that you may lose some of your things. Additionally, don't include your date of birth in your password. These are really easy to pull online, especially if you have social media. Sometimes Facebook may greet you happy birthday, and then a lot of people could see that Facebook greeted you happy birthday. So then they automatically know when your date of birth is, and if that's part of your password, it could be easier to guess. And then similar to the first point I had made, don't save credit card information or really any financial information onto your computer. I know specifically like for things like Amazon and for eBay or any shopping related sites, they allow you to sort of save your billing information and your credit card information. This could be, again, pretty dangerous, especially if you lose access to that account and people could sort of go to the woo-ha in terms of buying things online as well.
Okay, so next I'm going to go over backing up devices. So there are some several reasons why you want to back up your data on your devices. So it allows you to save important information on your mobile devices. So when you lose it, you can still access that information. So like if you back up your data on your phone, but for some reason you lost your phone, you can still have that that data or that information somewhere else. So it can be really useful to back up your images, your address book, emails, videos, and other important digital files. So it's just really helpful to just have your files and your data somewhere else that's not just on one device, so you can always access it whenever you potentially don't have your phone or your device, or you might have lost it. So there are several ways to back up your device, and it really depends on what device you're on. So on a computer, this is like an example of a Mac. Under System Preferences, you can click on Time Machine under the Mac System Preferences, and then once you click on Time Machine, there will be an option to back up your device by clicking Select Backup Disk, and then after you click on that, you'll have the option to click on Use Disk to back up information. On your iPhone, there is also an option to back up your data there. It is also under the settings. So you would click on settings, and then usually at the top, there's going to be a little button that has your name, and it also has like Apple ID, iCloud, media, and purchases. You want to click on that button, and then you will see an option to click on iCloud. That's the backup service for iPhones. And once you click on iCloud, there will be an option to click on iCloud Backup. And then from there, you can click on Backup Now. On this example, the device is already backed up, and that's why it's grayed out. But if your device isn't backed up, there will be an option to click on it, and it will automatically update, or it will automatically back up the apps and the files that you decide to keep on your phone. It will back up to the iCloud servers, which you can access on a computer instead. So, and there are also other ways. So if you don't have an iPhone, if you don't have a Mac, there are options for you to back up your devices. We already went over iCloud, but you can use Google Drive, which is Google's service of keeping all your information on a website that can be easily accessed through apps or through the internet or through just like your computer. There's also Dropbox.
To gear this more to iPhones than the Android.
There's also Dropbox, which is just another service or an app that you can back up your device. OneDrive, I believe, is Microsoft's backup service. So the first four are pretty much online backing up services that allow you to keep your information on a website, and so that you can always access it even when you don't have your phone or your computer. Additionally, you can also save it to an external hard drive, which will be on your computer, and you can just pretty much plug it in and plug it out. Same thing goes for a USB drive. Pretty much another, I guess, a physical storage option, so that you can kind of carry your information with you. And then this is a little bit more old-fashioned, but you can also save information on CDs, DVDs, and Blu-ray discs. Someone asked about Android phone backup. Android phones do have a backup service. depending on the Android phone itself, so it depends on if you have a Samsung or a Google Pixel, but Google Pixels would probably save to just a Google Drive. With the Samsung has its own service, but they also use Google Drive as well. So if you have if you have an Android, usually it'll just go to Google Drive, and Google Drive is a great service to use if you have an Android. So good habits to follow. Make sure to back up your devices regularly, just so that your information is regularly updated through the service, and that you don't, lose any new information or new data that you may have on your phone. Also, unfortunately, a lot of these backup services require fees or payments after you reach a certain limit. I believe on iPhones, it's around 5 gigabytes of storage space that's free. And after that, you will run out of storage space, and they will allow you to buy more. So we do suggest that if you run out of space, we would suggest to either buy more storage or possibly start using a different service to back up your remaining data. And then also keep physical documents on hand if possible.
So talk about the wonderful multi-factor identification, and then also quickly go over Duo, which is sort of the university's newest form of multi-factor identification, and sort of explain how it works and why we use it. So essentially, as many of you probably have seen, multi-factor identification does add another layer of security to your accounts, basically authenticating that you are the person who's logging in to a certain computer or app for that matter. And it basically helps secure important apps on your devices. So in the university's case, Duo was recently implemented as two-factor authentication for my USC, and then also for other USC related, applications and pages. And so there are different ways to authenticate via Duo, but other websites and other accounts like social media also have multi-factor identification. So basically it sets up a mode for when you log in. So apart from your username and your password, this is basically like a third thing to do. So either you could do like a text message, a phone message, where somebody calls you, or you could verify via an app. Duo specifically has one, and I'll sort of talk about that in a little bit. A lot of apps and accounts sort of talk about two-factor authentication. So again, social media, user accounts, and then banking accounts as well. So for instance, if you have Google Drive, Google obviously does allow for two-factor authentication. You basically go into your Google account, go through the security settings, and then after you go through security, there's an option to do two-step verification. Again, this is sort of under your Google account, which is like the hub for all of like your personal data in terms of like people that you know, like how you're sharing information, your personal info, things like that. And then it'll sort of walk you through how to add this extra layer of security and how to make sure that your information is protected. So again, as I mentioned at the beginning, you could either do through text message or through phone call. And so you could basically put in your phone number in order for it to ping you every time that you log in. For Twitter, similarly, there are settings and privacy settings and privacy options that go towards security and account access. And then once you go through there, you could sort of see how to manage your account security. I'd say for most apps, honestly, there's probably a specific tab under the settings area that talks about security or privacy for that matter. And again, that's probably where the multi-factor identification lies. We'll only go over a handful of them. So again, with Twitter, two-factor authentication, again, under the security access setting. And then here you could use text message, authentication app, or security key. So authentication app is like a separate app from Twitter that allows you to go in and then approve certain things. So again, like Duo, for instance. For your phone or for Facebook, in both cases, you could use actually Apple accounts on the left and then Facebook's on the right. So for your Apple account, if you have an iCloud account, for instance, you could turn on two-factor authentication to make sure basically whenever you're purchasing something or whenever you're giving up your information, you basically have another layer of protection. And then for Facebook, again, similar to Twitter, you could use two-factor authentication. Are texts more or less secure than your laptop or tablet? Personally, I don't think it's too different because either way, it's going to go to like an external source in order to verify that you're the one who's logging in. So I think actually they're about the same in terms of security. And then banking. So with Bank of America, it'll allow you to sort of authenticate either again through phone or text, or it may ask you to verify your account information in order to log in. With Duo, this is sort of the newest one that the university has pushed out. Again, they sort of have 3 different ways to log in: Duo Push, Call Me, and then a passcode. So Duo Push is like the app where you could sort of log in. Call Me literally is somebody calls you to ask you about like the code to log into your device, and then passcode is somebody's texting you to go, basically log in. And basically is like a general summary. It provides like an extra layer of protection for your security. Basically is like a third way to log in apart from your username and your password. So even if people get access to your password somehow, they won't be able to access your accounts if they can't authenticate that you're the person who's logging in.
Okay, so the next thing we're going to go over is updating your software and making sure that your device is up to date. So our devices such as computers, phones, tablets, etc. They contain a lot of information about our, what we do online, our personal information like our passwords, financial information like our banking information. So these our devices have systems to make sure that our data is safe and is safe from cyber attacks. So we want to make sure that our systems are protected because cyber threats are constantly changing. Every year there will always be new ways to steal information off people through the internet and through your phone. So that's why we want to make sure our devices are up to date so that they're best protected. So usually updates on your phone or your tablet or your computer, they include new protection and new updates to make sure that your device is protected. So we often recommend that everyone update the device whenever they can. So for mobile phones on Android, you usually get a message, but if you don't, you can go and check you can check to get an update by going to the settings and then clicking on system and then clicking on advanced, and then there will be an option for a system update. You can always double check to make sure that your phone is up to date and hit check for update button to see if there's a new update for your phone. And if there is, I would suggest to just update it so that your phone is protected from the most recent cyber threats. And then for iPhones and iPads, you can again go to the settings to check for updates. So you will click on the settings app and then click on general, and then after that, click on software update. And if there's a new version of iOS, which is the operating system for iPhones and iPads, you can tap on download and install. Otherwise, if not, you'll see a message saying that everything is up to date on your phone. And so here's just an image of how to do, how to update your Android. So you would go click on the settings, and then at the bottom, there's a button for finding more information about your system. And then after you click on that, at the bottom again, you can find more information about your phone. And then at the top about our phone, there should be a button called Lineage Operate OS Updates. And then if you click on that, you will see you will see the operating system, and there will be an option to update if your phone is not up to date. And just a little note, Android phones do differ depending on the company that made your phone. So right here, I believe this is a Pixel, or yeah, I think so. So depending on whether you have a Google Pixel or a Samsung, it can change a little, but the rules are generally the same. And one great thing about setting apps is that usually they have a search button. So if you look up software update under the settings app, you will be able to see where that exact setting is. So you don't even really have to click through all these buttons. If you find the search button, which is at the very top of the settings, you can usually just look up for the settings or the software update button. And then from there, you will be able to update your phone. For iPhones, this is pretty standard across both iPads and all iPhones. Pretty much, the first step is if you want to update your iPhone, is you want to plug in the power and connect to the internet, so that when you're updating your phone doesn't die. Next, go to settings, and then after clicking on general, there will be a button at the very top right under about that says software update. And if you see the 1 in the red circle, that means there is an update to install. So after you click on software update, tap on download and then install, download and install. If a message asks you to temporarily remove apps because the software needs more space for the update. So what that means is that if your phone doesn't have enough storage or space to download the new update, because new updates do require some bit of storage, it will tell you to remove some apps or find some way to make more storage so that your phone can update. And then to update it, just click install, and then you can also click on later, and then that will remind you to install an update at a later time. So on a computer, you can also, of course, update your computers. So on Windows, you would want to launch the settings by hitting the Start menu and then clicking on the cog icon, which would be for settings. And then after you hit that, you should go to Update and Security, and then click on Windows Update, and then it will tell you to install it or schedule a time for installing it. And what I like to do, because I have a Windows, is I like to schedule for it at like 2 a.m. in the morning, so that it'll update when I'm not working on my computer and I'm sleeping. On a Mac, you can, of course, update as well. So you would click on the menu bar on the top and click on Apple, and then click on About This Mac, and then click on Software Update. Again, this would be under the system preferences of the Mac. So here is just an image of how to update on a Windows. So you click on the settings. So you would click on the Windows icon in the bottom left first to pull up the menu, and then click on settings, which is the cog, and it says settings right next to it. And then at the very top of the settings, usually there's a Windows update option. You would click on that, and then it will tell you how to update your computer. Or if there's an update, it will tell you to update your computer. And then on a Mac, you would click on the Mac, and then at the very top, there's a software update option. And after clicking on that, you'll be led to this bottom right picture here. And on that, you'll be able to see if there's any software update. And if there is, you will just click on the update now on the far right, and then your computer will start updating.
Cool. And then sort of this latter half is talking about sort of phishing scams and then also financial scams that you may run into. Uh, so we'll sort of start with the telephone one. So according to the IRS, the top 10 most common scams, especially more recently, are things related to COVID-19. So um, albeit the COVID situation is a bit in flux at the moment, just keep your eyes out, or I guess in this case, your ears out for any COVID-19 related calls or scams that may come across your way. Other things that may pop in, also fake charity appeals, bank fraud, things related to Social Security, website password requests, insurance, healthcare, and debt scams. If you know that you haven't done anything wrong per se, and somebody's calling you saying that you need to, fix certain things, usually they'll pick up the call. For me, I try to abide by a rule that if I don't know the phone number, I usually just send it to voicemail. And then if it's someone I know, either they'll leave a voicemail or they'll email me afterwards, and then I can put their number in my phone. So to avoid telephone scams, these usually come in the form of either real people or robots or text messages. So on the right, just a handful of different types of text messages that may come your way. If you know that you haven't ordered a FedEx package, or you know you haven't ordered something from a restaurant or from some company, and they're texting you, telling you, like, here's the tracking code, here's a link, I would just totally steer clear of it, or just block the number or put it away. Things that offer rewards for after completion may also be examples of scams. And so, again, these sort of come in like various ways, but ultimately some of the more aggressive ones of scammers are threatening you with jail time or lawsuits. Usually just, again, also steer clear of those. So again, don't answer calls from unknown numbers, don't return one-ring calls. Any calls that you're unfamiliar with or from another country usually are also another good rule. Don't follow instructions on a pre-recorded message if it tells you to like press a certain button and you're not actively calling them. Don't give personal or financial data. Don't pay for registration or shipping charges to get a free product. And don't make payments by gift card, prepaid debit card, or wire transfer. All of these are really hard to trace. So once you lose your money, it's really hard for law enforcement or banking services to sort of track back where the money goes. For what you can do, so the National Do Not Call Registry, I'm currently registered on this. It's really straightforward. You just sort of go onto the website, register with your phone number and then an email, and it basically takes you off like a very extensive list of telemarketer calls or telemarketers like phone registries. Albeit it hasn't, like, as the slide suggests, it hasn't like completely gone away with all of the robocalls. Like I still do get a handful of calls from telemarketers, but it's much less than when it was prior to me registering for it. Call blocking apps are also a pretty good way to do it. So Haya and Nomo Robo are good, I guess, like screening measures to see if someone's calling and they're just a robocall. Hang up on illegal robocalls. If you're speaking to a telemarketer who is an actual person, make sure to like press them and make sure that you're asking them to slow down and ask questions concisely, because they may just rapidly run through a bunch of things and then you're suddenly overwhelmed and you're not really sure what to do. Do independent research on travel deals, charities, and businesses, and other investment opportunities that you hear about via phone. So as I mentioned before, the National Do Not Call Registry, again, you just sort of register on the website. You put three phone numbers. So if you have your cell phone, your home number, and then maybe somebody else's number, you could also put all of those in and register via your email. And then you would just verify after they email you a link. If you're unsure if you've already been registered for it, you can verify it and they'll just you'll just put in your phone number and they'll basically go through the registry to see if you're already in there.
Okay, and I'll be going over online scams this time. So how to avoid online scams is that you just kind of want to know these tips to make sure that you want to make sure to know that you're not getting scammed. So the first tip is looking out for scam emails, and one way to look out for them is to check for something. So one thing to check for is incorrect spelling or grammar. So if the email that you receive, there are some spelling errors or grammar errors, then you can kind of just tell that it's probably not from the legitimate website. If they're asking for money or confidential information, those are usually scams, and please just don't tell them anything about yourself because they're probably just trying to steal your money. You also want to check if the sender's email is legitimate. So in the example that we have here, there's supposedly an email for Walmart, but if you check at the very top, you can see that the email address is clearly not from Walmart. A Walmart address or email address would probably have walmart.com in it or something of that sort. So you can tell that it's fake. If the email is, promoting an award or something that just sounds too good to be true, like, oh, you won a random, $1,000 Amazon gift card from Walmart for some reason, it's probably false. It's probably just a scam. And also just make sure to not click any links because those links may have malware installed on them or may lead you to install malware. So really, if you receive a scam email or a really fishy looking one, just do not click on any links, just delete the email and forget about it. Another thing is that you want to make sure that whatever website you're on, it's safe and legitimate. So one of the first things you can check on a website is that you have an encryption symbol at the very top of your website. So in the picture here, you have at the very top of this example I use, there's a little lock, and that means an encryption symbol. That means your data is protected and it's secure on the website. Another thing is looking at the link and seeing the HTTPS. The S in the HTTPS, it means secure, so the website is safe for you to use and put your information on it. Also, another thing is you want to check whether the spelling of the URL that you are of the website you're on is correct. So in the first picture, there's smile.amazon.com. This is Amazon's nonprofit donating organization, I guess. So it's pretty much just whenever you buy something on Amazon, it donates to an organization, but pretty much make sure that everything there is spelled correctly. And if you're not sure, you can always look up the Google. You can always Google the company first on, Google, and then usually Google will give you the correct website. So in the image on the bottom here, you can tell that it's a fake website because Amazon is spelled incorrectly. So for that one, you would not want to put any of your information on there. So remember, only give sensitive information on a secure and trustworthy website, and make sure not to, buy something from a fishy website because then they'll have your credit card information. And another tip is to get ad blocker. So an ad blocker is essentially a software that you can download on your computer and on your internet browser to block any ads that may show up on the website. So ad blockers are usually free on the Google Chrome stores to download for anyone to use. So pretty much they block scam ads and scam pop-ups so that when you log onto a website, you don't have to see any scams or you don't have to see any ads. And it's just a nice thing to have because you get to actually see the website with all the information that you want and not just some random ads. So some examples of ad blockers that you can download would be AdBlock, AdBlock Plus, uBlock, and all of these are great options to download and they're all free. And just a side note is that some websites may ask you to disable your ad blocker. So websites like online newspapers and magazines may ask this of you because, of course, ads are one of the ways they make money. So they want they would want you to disable your ad blocker so that they can display ads on the website you're visiting. For these situations, you can obviously disable your ad blocker. If you're on the New York Times or like Sports Center or whatever, they may ask you to disable your ad blocker. And of course, these are legitimate websites, so it's okay. It's okay to disable your ad blocker. It's just that in some cases where you may be going to a website and they have some ads, then you may want to keep ad blocker on. But there are special cases where it'd be okay for you to disable your ad blocker. So, right now I'm just going to go over how to install AdBlock on your computer. So the first step is to just look up Chrome Store on Google, and the first link will take you to the Google Chrome Web Store. So you want to just click on the first link, and then when you click on the link, it'll lead you to the website. And on the website, at the very top left, there will be an option to search the store for extensions, which is what you want. So you would just type in AdBlock and then hit enter, and then you'll see several options. Yeah, so you would click on one that you find, one that you want. So right here, I just point to AdBlock, which is one that I use, and download that, and then click on that, and then you will be able to see an option to add to Chrome. And adding to Chrome will pretty much just download it on your Google Chrome, and then now it will be enabled. So whenever you visit websites, you no longer have to see any ads.
And just some extra tips, I think, from our USC ITS department. So Clear Desk, Clear Screen, excuse me, talks about how sort of clearing your workspace or wherever you are, whether it be your physical desk or your physical computer, really helps sort of promote good security usage or good navigating skills, just because if you're sort of cluttered and you're looking for things, it may be easier for people to just sort of pick things off of your desk. Or if you're on your computer and it's really cluttered and you just have like a bunch of windows open, it may be easy for people to just pull things off of your computer as well. And that could be either, again, physically or through, I guess, the cyberspace, for lack of a better term. ITS also recommends that users with computers running these versions of Windows or our Mac operating system use a firewall built into those operating systems. Keep your wallet tight. I think this is like pretty much a given, but do leave your social security card, any extra credit cards or pay stubs at home, anything that you're not absolutely using or actually using. Again, like memorize your social security number, things like that. And only give out that number when absolutely necessary. So if it's for, like, say, like buying food or something, and they ask you for your social security number, I feel like everybody here would sort of pin that as a red flag of sorts, just because it's out of the ordinary, right? We all sort of know when our social security number is needed. Usually it is for government affairs or for verifying our identification, but just be sort of wary of that. So that about wraps up at least our end of the conversation. We do have an upcoming workshop. So we talked about this actually a little bit in our presentation about different storage units, such as iCloud. We'll have a separate workshop for that, talking about OneDrive, which is Microsoft's version of it, Google Drive, Google's version of it, and then Apple Cloud or the iCloud. And that will be in March. around the same time as this. So we'll sort of have a RSVP, and Bob will also probably send that out prior to that event starting. But yeah, firstly, thank you guys for sort of popping in